I will call to order the February 4th, 2026 Fishers Plan Commission meeting. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, Kay?
Mr. Fain. Here. Ms. Logan. Here. Mr. Peterson.
Here.
Ms. Stoller.
Here.
Ms. Frazier is out. Mr. Moulter is out. And Mr. Stevenson.
Here. We do have a quorum?
We
Okay.
do.
Okay, thank you. And I see Miss Tiffany Dillitson here. Welcome to the board.
Oh, thank you.
Glad to have you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
First agenda item is the approval of our previous minutes from December the 3rd, 2025. We did not have a meeting in January.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please use the voting sign aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion is carried. Ross, I believe we first have to do an election.
Yes, so staff does request that we add one additional item to the agenda tonight, and that is the election of the Plan Commission President and the Plan Commission Vice President.
Can we take those as one vote, or should they be separate?
If you could do those separately, that would be great.
I would entertain a motion for president.
Motion for Howard Stevenson as president.
We have a motion by Pete, a second. I'll give it to Rich. Roll call, please. Okay.
Mr. Fain. Ms. Logan. Mr. Peterson.
Yes.
Ms. Stoller.
Aye.
Ms. Frazier is out. Mr. Stevenson.
Yes.
And Ms. Diddleson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. The motion does carry. I will next make a motion to have Pete Peterson to remain as our vice president.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Kay, roll call, please.
Yes, Mr. Fain.
Yes.
Ms. Logan.
Yes.
Mr. Peterson.
Yes.
Ms. Stoller.
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson.
Yes.
And Ms. Diddleson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. The motion does carry. The next agenda item is case number RZ-26-1, Story Cottage. It's a consideration of a rezone of 0.86 acres from R2 Residential District to PUD-C for a 7,500 square foot memory care facility use with the common address of 1990 Brook School Road. And we have Ross Hillary here to present on behalf of the staff.
Good evening, Plan Commission and residents. Ross Hillary, City of Fishers, Community and Economic Development. As mentioned, this is TA 26-1, Story Cottage PUD. This is a consideration of a rezone request of 0.86 acres from R2 Residential to PUDR for 7,500 square foot memory care at the address of 10990 Brook School Road. There are two parcels there. This was previously subdivided into what was to be two single-family homes. So summary of this rezone, it is R2 zoning as the base zoning with additional use of memory care services, a maximum occupancy of 12 individual beds, and it is not to exceed 7,500 square feet as the structure. Timeline for this received first reading at City Council in January. There was a neighborhood meeting, which the petitioner can talk about in late January. This public hearing here tonight at Plan Commission, and then proposed final reading at Council in February. This is a zoning map of the property. The property is highlighted right there. So it is R2. That is the zoning right now. The Breakwater neighborhood, which is directly south, is R2 zoning as well. And the adjacent neighborhoods are all part of residential PUDs, including the Sandstone neighborhood to the northeast. This is a proposed site plan. This is incorporated into the PUD. There are 15-foot side setbacks, which are consistent with R2 residential properties. There is a proposed small parking area in the front. The driveway is shown here, but will be required to have engineering approval of that. And then a rear 40-yard setback is also included, consistent with R2 residential properties. This is the architecture that is included in the PUD. We do not have elevations on all sides in this PUD, so in the future, staff will require that to go in front of our PUD committee for approval. That is a public meeting, but not a public hearing. This item was previously presented by Rick Lawrence as RZ 25-6 on behalf of Story Custom Development from R2 to CeeLo Commercial. That was in front of this body late last year, and that was pulled from the agenda before it went to City Council for final reading. The comprehensive plan does call for this area to be suburban residential, which is essentially single-family residential. Petitioner will talk about this a little bit more in their presentation. This allows 2 to 4 units per acre on this property, and as you saw already, this was previously subdivided into 2 single-family lots, so essentially the max capacity for that property. This is a comprehensive plan map for this area. So the Breakwater neighborhood is estate residential in the comprehensive plan, which is essentially a requirement of 1 acre or more. And then the Sandstone neighborhood adjacent to this is suburban residential, the same as the property in question. Included in the staff report is a traffic memo. This only looked at the AM and PM hours of Brook School Road. So essentially when our commuters and residents are going to and from work and when our buses are on the road getting our students to school. And A&F Engineering made a determination that the additional traffic from this use would not impede those AM and PM hours. No additional evaluation was done with that traffic. Public comments that were received since December were provided to plan commissioners. Here is essentially a summary of those names, addresses, and then a simple favorable or unfavorable based on staff's review of their comments. It was clear. So the majority of public comments were received from Breakwater, as shown there, with some comments also provided from the Sandstone neighborhood, including the HOA president and other representatives. With that, staff does have a favorable recommendation. This is based off of what staff believes is the long-term use of this property. While it is not consistent with the comprehensive plan, we do believe this is a comparable residential use. When you guys are making your consideration or recommendation, these are the 5 items that you are charged with looking at. This item is anticipated to go to City Council in February, and with that, I will bring the petitioner up for their presentation.
Thanks, Ross.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Rick Lawrence. I'm an attorney with Nelson & Frankenberger with offices in Carmel, Indiana. My office represents the applicant Story Custom Development and Story Cottage. Present tonight on behalf of the applicant is David Morgan and David Lesenby, both of which will speak shortly. Tonight we're in front of you for consideration of our revised rezone request in order to allow a memory care group home for adults. If you recall, Story Cottage offers a boutique memory care concept to its senior residents where compassion meets luxury. You guys are already aware of the location of this property. This is a little bit of a zoomed out indication. This is a close-up of that. Again, 0.86 acres, 2 lots, currently zoned R2. So why are we here this evening? We're here this evening because this real estate is identified as R2, and we're seeking to have a group home for memory care for adults. We're here because there's an anomaly in the Fishers UDO, and it distinguishes between adults and children in the definition of a group home. On the screen is pulled from the Fishers UDO where it says use regulations and has definitions of different uses. Group home, B, says a facility that houses not more than 10 children. If that didn't say children, we would not be here this evening. We would just file an application for a building permit. Similarly, if we fell under C, special care facility, which are defined by the Indiana Code, we would also not be here tonight. We would be able to build this home under a right pursuant to the Fishers UDO. This is also identified by Fishers use table, which you see on the screen now. To determine what is allowed in a residential district, you use this chart. And in using this chart, you find the residential use on the side, the left side it would be on the screen, and then you find the residential or zoning district by the top of it. In R2, a group home and residential facility for developmentally disabled and a residential facility for the mentally ill are both permitted by right. Again, we are seeking a group home for adults. Had Fishers UDO provided no limitation, i.e. children, in the definition of a group home, again, we would not be here tonight. We feel that this is clearly a residential use, which has been in some question during this process. We also believe that approval of this request would be consistent with the protections afforded by the Fair Housing Act and the Americans with Disabilities Act. I also want to indicate and show the difference between the prior filing and the current filing. As you'll see on the screen, I've tried to outline and line up the differences. As Ross had indicated, the prior filing was to a CLO, which was a commercial district, which would have allowed a memory use group home within its language. This filing is rezoning to a PUD with residential R2 as the underlying district and the base zoning with memory care group home as an allowed use. Prior filing allowed for a maximum floor area of 7,500 square feet, whereas the CLO had a maximum of 4,500. The current filing, we're actually limiting the maximum because the R2 does not have a maximum floor area. We were meeting all other development standards in the prior, as we are in this filing. We had a commitment to only use for memory care group home. In this PUD, we limit it to single-family residence because of the base zoning, with an added memory care group home for adults. Prior, no traffic analysis had been completed prior to filing. For this filing, a traffic analysis was completed that Ross had identified. And finally, we did not hold a formal neighborhood meeting during the last filing. And this time we did hold a formal neighborhood meeting last Thursday. We had about 20 people from the public show up. We had a good discussion regarding what the proposal was and what some of the neighbors' concerns were, which David Lesenby will address further in this presentation. And at that point, I'll turn it over to him.
Good evening. My name is David Lesenby with Lesenby Companies, an office in Carmel. I'm a developer representing Story Cottage. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you and the staff as well, and the city council and the neighbors there's been a lot of time spent on this, a lot of thoughtful consideration. We've received a ton of feedback in the last few months since we started this process. It's been a long process with lots of ideas and even a pivot to a different zoning designation. I've lived in Hamilton County for 40 years. I've been doing development for 25 years. And every project I've ever done has gotten better through the process. It takes a lot of input like that to get something that fits in a location. It takes a lot of flexibility and openness, and I think that's been part of the process here. We've heard from a lot of people, and I think that's really good because it's kind of, if you think about it, it's how cities get built when there is that openness and flexibility. That's how we figure out what we want in a city. And I submit to you that Story Cottage is one of the most important things that Fishers should be looking for in its city today. And this location is the best one for that. So a little bit about the company. It's local, it's based in Carmel. This would be the 6th location. Each location is selected for its proximity to high incomes and high home values, knowing that the neighborhood, as it evolves and changes and ages, there will be a percentage of people that will want its services. There are over 100,000 residents in the Fishers today. There are a certain amount of them that, and we know these percentages, that suffer from memory loss. And then there are also a certain percentage of those that have the means to live in this extraordinary setting, in the same neighborhood where they grew up, had families, jobs, and served their community. It's a beautiful, beautiful idea, and is well executed by the Story team. We've been looking in Fishers for quite some time. There are Fishers residents that have moved into Story cottages in Indianapolis and in Carmel. So this proposal here that you've been reviewing for the last couple months is a response to those clients, those people, and future residents that would prefer to stay in Fishers when they're looking for memory care services. There have been plenty of parcels that we've considered. Most of them have not had utilities, or they required extensive site work, or they were located in commercial settings. We've avoided HOAs or subdivisions for obvious reasons. We believe it's more appropriate to locate a Story cottage on a main thoroughfare in a historically platted lot. It's in a residential zone. But like all the other locations in neighborhoods that I think we all know, and you know them, in Indianapolis, Meridian Hills, Williams Creek, and in Carmel, West Clay, and Cary Grove. And there's another one under construction just outside the doors of Woodland Country Club. Each one of these is a residence, and it fits into the neighborhood, and it's characterized by typical residential features. They're one-story, custom home materials, extensive landscaping. There's no site lighting. There's no signage. If you didn't know it was there, you would not even notice that it was anything other than a home, and that is intentional. In the same way you wouldn't notice any other home on a street, because they're residential uses. And unlike what some people have suggested, the homes are not facilities. They do not operate like institutions. They are, in fact, the exact opposite of that image. And they are all private pay, about $11,000 a month, with 2 to 3 caregivers at any one time. There are guests, such as families or concierge doctors and nurses, that can come in to the home, just like you all have guests in your home. We all have guests in our home. You pay for services to come in. In addition to fitting into the neighborhood, Story Cottage also provides the exact type of environment that benefits someone who is suffering from memory loss. It's a home, and it's their permanent home, and that matters a lot to them and their families. If you've ever had a loved one in a large institution, you know you have to conform to the schedule and the design of that large facility. But there's a cadence to the day at Story Cottage that is customized and personalized for the people that live there. Just like you live at home, they live in their home. And it starts with the design. There's bedrooms and bathrooms and living room and a kitchen and a diner, all things that are in your home, and that's intentional. It is just like our home. And there's a science to that. The more normal that you can make someone's environment, the longer they will live with memory loss. And the closer that location can be to the life that they've had, the happier and healthier they will be. And the closer they can have that normal life to their loved ones that are nearby, well, that creates a higher quality of life for everyone in Fishers. And that's why it's so important that this is here. I'll add, the residents are relatively healthy, except for their diagnosis with some form of dementia. They still have common sense. They don't leave the property without their family members taking them, which some of them do, of course, for holidays or special events. But when they come home back to Story Cottage, they are literally at home. Now I want to show you a few things that are different than the last time that you saw this. We've moved the entrance further north for better visibility because of a crest on the hill there on Brook School Road. We've also adjusted the parking area so that no cars block the front of the entrance, which is important to us too. Notice that the parking in the driveway area is very residential. It's not striped like you would find in a commercial setting. There typically are only 2 cars overnight, 1 for each of the caregivers that are there. And notice we've added the fence to show the outline of the backyard so you can see that outdoor space. Here's a view from Brook School Road showing the landscaping, which is the same very similar at each of the other locations. There's an abundance of landscaping, which is consistent with a luxury home of this size and scale. Here's the backyard. Of course, residents can go outside, they can garden, they can write, they can walk around, enjoy fresh air, just like anyone else would do in their backyard. In each of the location, the fencing is different. Here it's shown as a 6-foot open style, but this really can be 4 feet, 6 feet, privacy, non-privacy. That has been different at each of the locations, really dependent upon what neighbors have desired. The security is state-of-the-art. It's really advanced. Only caregivers are allowed to open doors and have the ability to open the doors. And with 2 to 3 of them always present, they're always looking after each resident. Finally, last one. This is a photo from at Meridian Hills last week. Each home is like this every night. Like I said, there's no site lighting, there's no signage there, there's no outdoor parties, nothing to make any noise. It really is the quietest neighbor on the block every night. I'm going to let David Morgan come up and say a few words too.
Thanks for the opportunity to present this. I'm David Morgan, and my colleagues and I own Story Cottage, and I've been a resident of Hamilton County my whole life, except for a couple educational experiences. So I'm deeply committed to this area, and I'm also deeply committed to serving people who have memory loss. It's a devastating situation. I'm on the Alzheimer's Association board, and the statistics show that about 25% of population 65 plus in the next 10 years will be impacted by that. So that's about 1 out of every 4 people in this room. So it's significant. And what I loved about, I've really enjoyed actually meeting a lot of the neighbors. I know they don't like me, but I've enjoyed meeting them. And one of the ways they described this area is that they described it as a little slice of heaven. And I heard it multiple times in the community comments, this is a little slice of heaven. And we realize that and think it's amazing. And we just want to honor the older adults who have lived here and who have taught schools and built businesses and been doctors and done incredible things for this community right in the same neighborhood where they've always lived. I get the privilege of interacting with a lot of our clients. And I'll never forget one assessment I did. This woman she had everything you could want in life. She had a lot of material blessings and a very engaging family and a great impact on Indianapolis as a whole. And after listening to her and her challenges with memory loss and what she needed in the home, she looked at me in the eyes and she goes, "David, can you just send somebody or create an environment where I can have purpose and meaning again?" She'd had an incredible life, but she just didn't have like a reason to get up every day. And so that's what we're doing. That's what we're asking you to vote on here, is to help older adults have purpose in a dignified way in a boutique setting through Story Cottage. So we'd appreciate your favorable recommendation tonight. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to open the public hearing to give members of the public an opportunity to, I'll call you in a second, to express their views on this matter. I will say the board has received quite a few public comments regarding this matter, both in support and in opposition of this matter. I can't speak for all of our board members, but I believe we've all read all of those. In fact, I was at my law office today. I should have been billing hours, but I was reading comments that were coming in yet today. And as I was reading comments that were current, 3 more were coming in at the same time. So we've taken opportunity to read all of those, and we know what the issues are. But we want to give the public nonetheless an opportunity to share, and we have to, for expediency purposes, we have to limit your comments to 3 minutes. And I would encourage you, if you've heard someone else make a comment that you agree with, that you echo, you don't have to rehearse that same issue, but you can just say that you agree with that point. And also, if we have someone, do we have anyone here representing a homeowners association? Okay. And can you share with what association that is, sir? Regular. Okay. I'd like to go last, please. Okay, we'll let you go last. We will allow representatives, if you're representing the entire association, to allow you to have 5 minutes to present. So we'll give everyone that opportunity. And with that, we will give you an opportunity to approach the podium. Please share with us your name and your address. And with that, feel free to approach.
Good evening. My name is Tracy Nicholson, and I live at 11070 Napa Valley Lane in the Sandstone Knolls subdivision. As a property owner directly impacted by the development of this parcel, we are in full support of the Story Cottage facility at the location of 10990 Brook School Road. Our property directly borders the proposed site on the east, and we are the only sandstone property that borders these parcels. When the current property owner started developing the site, we were very disappointed to see all the vegetation cleared, leaving no buffer between our property and Brook School Road. We were further concerned upon learning of plans to build a gated entry with 2 multi-story homes set close to the property lines, which would have significantly reduced the privacy of our backyard. Our experience with the current owner has not been a positive one, and we are grateful this is no longer the plan for this property. The current site is not priced for a residential opportunity. The drainage issues on this parcels will not allow for a home that includes a basement. Surely that would be an expectation from anyone spending upwards of $600,000 on a lot alone. There appeared to be full agreement at the Hawthorns meeting on January 29th that the Story Cottage provides a valuable service to the community. We have every reason to believe that they will be a good neighbor. The proposed building has a residential appearance, residential lighting, and will lack roadside signage. It will have a concrete drive, an improvement over the asphalt drive planned by the current owner. It will be well-maintained and landscaped, as I am sure the families of the residents will expect at the price point they are paying for the boutique memory care of their loved ones. Their 1-story home will be set back 40 feet from our property line, allowing us to maintain the privacy we have enjoyed in our backyard for the last 25 years. Just as important as what Story Cottage will bring to the community is what it will not bring. Their presence will ensure we do not have to suffer a rundown property, late-night gatherings, loud music, boom-boom cars, fireworks, barking dogs and kennels, RV storage, boat storage, vehicle storage, yard sales, and deteriorating outdoor storage sheds. We have experienced nearly all of these issues and eyesores with the adjacent properties and look forward to quiet, respectful neighbors. Any occupant of this property will bring some level of traffic. The introduction of a small memory care facility would not bring a significant increase in vehicular traffic over that of the 2 residential homes that were originally proposed. We believe Story Cottage is the absolute best use for this property at this point in time. I have no doubt that once completed, it will simply blend into its residential surroundings as intended. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Good evening. Would you like me to wait for the timer to reset?
Yes, we'll reset. There you go.
Thank you. My name's Eric Olson. I live at 181 Breakwater Drive. I did not plan to speak tonight, so I'm going to do my best to stay organized. By trade, I'm an attorney as well. I also own other businesses. One of those businesses owns group homes. So I'm pretty well versed in what council was describing as the code, and I'm pretty well versed in why this is not a use as a matter of right, because it shouldn't be. Make no mistake about it. Having run these are businesses. These are not homes. There are staff there 24/7. There's additional traffic. They are businesses. A nice presentation was done showing us the comprehensive plan for Fishers. This does not fit into it in any way. How Fishers is sidestepping that and ignoring it completely blows me away. There are better places for a group home like this in Fishers. I think it's a wonderful idea, and I bet he puts together a wonderful business. I think Mr. Morgan probably has a wonderful business. Not on Brook School Road, not at the crest of a hill. I've got young kids that pull in and out of this neighborhood. I'm already worried about them getting hit. Now we're going to add more traffic at the crest of the hill for a business. And again, it's a business. This property is not legally nor structurally, for lack of a better word, appropriate for this use. I think Fishers needs these, and I think it's wonderful. Not on Brook School Road. This is not a place for a quasi-commercial building. Again, that's what this is. Our neighborhood has engaged counsel, Delk McNally, If you haven't already received a litigation hold from Duck McNally, you will. We are not going to go away, and we are going to fight this in every legal angle we can. We do not believe this belongs here. I'm not talking about property values, because I don't know what this will do to property values. I'm talking about safety. I'm talking about your comprehensive plan, and I'm talking about, for some reason, Fisher's completely ignoring that to ram this thing in there without caring about anybody's safety on this road or the comprehensive plan. The only thing you've seen is a one-paragraph traffic study from probably a friend of the council for Mr. Morgan. Fishers needs to do better, need to protect people. What are everybody in this room going to do when somebody gets hit and killed because of the added traffic? Are we going to have this meeting again and move this? No. What's done is done. There are a lot of places in Fishers this can go. Again, it's a wonderful use, not here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tiffany Nealon, 11240 Desert Glen Drive. I'm in the Sandstone neighborhood. I have my major concern, I'm not going to speak about, but my major concern is the safety. It is very difficult to turn left into our neighborhood. It's very dangerous. There are accidents all the time on the street. That's not what I'm talking about. I know other people have already shared that concern. The lawyer for Story Cottage, and I'm sorry, I forget his name, referred to the two other zonings that this facility does not fit. He said, we would not be here if Fishers did not have this anomaly. If Fishers did not have the R2 specific for a child group home, we wouldn't be here because they would already accept it. There's a reason Fishers chose to have this anomaly on the R2 to not allow group homes at this zoning level. He also said that except for the age restrictions for R2 zoning, they would pretty much be meeting all of the other requirements for an R2. But an R2, a child group home, has a maximum of 12 people. The special care facility that he pointed out has a maximum of 8 adults in it. They are looking to build something for 12 adults, which more than exceeds both of those those other zonings that they said they would be falling under. There's a reason that Fishers chose to have this anomaly for R2 and make it a child group home only. And I understand they're trying for something else, but they're more than exceeding both of those. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public?
Thank you for listening. Ross Rafe Snyder, 10801 Pine Valley Court here in Fishers. Our family has lived in Fishers for 31 years. That officially makes me old. But in addition to that, we are in close proximity to the desired location. But more important and personal is the fact that my desire is that my mother-in-law gets the opportunity and the dignity to live there. I want to talk about 3 specific reasons to consider putting it in this area. 1 has to do with the attractiveness, 2 has to do with safety, and 3rd is scalability. First of all, this is a boutique premier home, and it blends in with the surrounding neighborhoods. Yeah, it costs $11,000 a month. That's been referenced, and likely will be only for those that can afford a high quality of living. And in my mother-in-law's case, she lived in a comparable neighborhood to Breakwater. So for those that live in those neighborhoods, just think about your next step in life and where you would rather be. The second thing with the attractiveness has to do with the noise level. I promise that the residents there will not be loud. And that's going to be a beneficial piece to the surrounding neighbors. As it relates to safety, residents are safe through the strict guidelines that were represented earlier and seen in the drawings. But above and beyond that, these residents will not be problem neighbors. And there are problem neighbors even in semi-custom and custom neighborhoods, I can assure you. Traffic is minimal. It was referenced the other way, but as referenced by the traffic memo, Residents don't drive. Staff is minimal. Visitors are fluent, but typically will visit outside of the work commute times, and so that's a non-issue. And in terms of scalability, some would say that's a negative, but I would tell you it's a positive. While some consider this to be a negative, we need this to be scalable so we can minimize the growth of the much larger commercial structures that are not really all that appealing. Our family, like I said, has lived here for 3 decades. We are proud of the progress and the bold investments made of Fishers, making us one of the best cities in the country to live. Story Cottage project is a contributor to this vibrant, smart, entrepreneurial city, which we all benefit in. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is David Turk. I'm at 425 Breakwater. I agree with all I'm in opposition. I agree with all their points. I'll skip all those to keep it short. I'm also a commercial broker and a developer myself. I think part of the conversation we're missing from like an approach from the city is that this lot was purchased by someone who had a investments idea, buying it, tearing down a residential home, replatting it, which was done, and trying to flip it for a profit. That apparently isn't penciling out. So the price is dropping, and this seems, and I understand the argument on orphan properties and not wanting a blight in a spot, but it just seems, there's a lawsuit with the trees being torn down, and it seems like we're dropping price on this property. The developer already admitted they already looked at a PUD next to Moorbury Dentistry that I'm familiar with. They just couldn't get a deal worked out that made sense. It didn't pencil out. So I feel like we're changing the ordinance to accommodate a seller who made a mistake for a developer that is coming down to the lowest number to make their play work. That's all I got. Again, traffic, it would be havoc there. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brian Camilleri. I live at 215 Breakwater. I also vehemently oppose everything that the Breakwater residents already mentioned. And even though you asked us not to repeat, I think everybody here should be told multiple times the reasons why we're opposed to this. Eric, who's my neighbor, I also have little kids. I don't know if you guys drive in this area in Brooks School. First of all, this is a 100% residential area. All of it, single living homes, and now we're gonna bring a business right next door to us. That area of Brooks School is dangerous. A few years ago, you guys already flattened out the road because there were major accidents. It did okay. There are accidents that don't happen, but could happen all the time, because I see it every morning when I pull out. So now this development in Breakwater is starting to turn over, and we have a lot of young families, which means young drivers. More accidents waiting to happen. I don't for 1 second believe whatever report you guys put up there that said there's no more traffic. You guys showed a picture with a house and a parking lot, saying that this is gonna blend in with the community and you won't be able to tell. Bogus. It's got a parking lot in it, and there are residential homes that are very nice all around there. It's a business with a parking lot. Staff are gonna be coming in and out all the time. Brooks School Road is extremely narrow. There is zero shoulder to avoid accidents. If there is an accident, there's no place for that to go off to the side, emergency personnel to come in. It is a terrible place to put more traffic in. If anything, we should probably be talking about doing something to address this now without putting in more traffic. The other thing I would say is, at some point in the presentation, somebody put up a list of people who are opposed and unopposed. When I was looking at that, I think I saw 3 people who were favorable. Everything else said unopposed. I'm not sure if the gentleman who was up here before with the mother-in-law said where specifically he lived. He said he lives in Hamilton County or Fishers. I didn't hear him say he lives in Breakwater, Hawthorns, or Sandstone. We are the ones getting affected. We are the ones who are opposed to it. Outside of one or two other people, everyone is opposed to this. We have let you know that. You guys represent us. We don't want it, period, for all the reasons we listed. And it's not just the few people here. Everybody, minus a few. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Mary Caio, 265 Breakwater Drive. I'm going to thank Mr. Peterson today for speaking with me earlier. After speaking with him about my objection to the rezoning of the property on Brook School, he asked me what I wanted built there. If not a memory care facility, then what? A house is the reasonable answer because that is what it is already zoned for. My question to you, Mr. Peterson, and the Planning Committee, why are you in such a hurry to change the zoning to suit the owner of Story Memory Cottage when all the neighborhoods surrounding that are against it? Mr. Peterson stated that he's not concerned about the negative impact the increased traffic will have on Brook School, as there will always be traffic and problems with traffic. This argument will not persuade him to vote against the rezoning. He is not concerned about the possibility of the decreased property values of the affluent owners in the surrounding neighborhoods due to the location of the memory care facility to their neighborhoods despite the loud objections to it. This argument will not persuade him. This is his words. Mr. Peterson suggested that one way for this all to go away was for the Breakwater residents to purchase the property. Why should Breakwater residents have to do this? The solution is simple. Do not change the zoning. Problem solved. Mr. Peterson was informed that Breakwater, if you saw on the map, has a retention pond only 125 feet away from the property. You can't move a retention pond. Currently, there's no wall between the properties. There has already been an accidental drowning in Breakwater's retention pond where a young adult was killed. I would hate to see this happen to a resident from the memory care facility if they were to get out, or I say escape. David Morgan, who's very nice, the owner of Story Cottage Living, admitted at the January 29th meeting that they have had residents get out. This finally seemed to get Mr. Peterson's attention. I stated to Mr. Peterson it was not enough for one city council person to just drive by the memory care facility. What is also important is the inside. The storage cottage has a nice outside facade, but the inside is just another smaller nursing home with the big price tag. The residents at Breakwater, Hawthorns, and Sandstone are against having the memory care facility there, as well as any other commercial enterprise being built on that lot, and all the problems it will bring if it is zoned. If it is zoned residential, keep it that way. Thank you for listening. It will be obvious if you listened and then voted no against the rezoning, it means you heard what the voters and taxpayers wanted. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, we'll call the...
I'll probably cry because I'm passionate. My name is Brenda Bowman, 11270 Hawthorne Ridge. I've lived in Hamilton proper since 1998, and I do know other people that back me. I do have a life. I didn't rally anybody. But I have 5 children, 1 husband of 46 years, and 15 grandkids that live all within 10 minutes of Hamilton proper. I have a father, 92 years old, at Story Cottage. I've had in-laws that have been in different places, so the last 5 years I'm very acquainted with this type of situation. The Story Cottage is not perfect, but it is wonderful. And I cannot think of anything better. My dad will likely be gone by the time this would be done, so it's not about me. I'm about community. I want my kids, and I will still take my kids and my grandkids. They don't need to go to one more ball game. They need to see older people. They need to give them a hug. They need to give them a smile. We need to quit thinking just about us and us. But I have friends in their 50s that have developed dementia. I cannot think, if I get it, I would love for it to be easy for my kids and my grandkids to slip in and out. And they're convenient times. I've been every single day for 3.5 years to see my dad, not missed a day when I've been in town, and I assign friends to go when I'm not. And I'm telling you, this last week I counted, there were never more than 4 cars in the parking lot at the times I was there. Twice I was there 2 times in the day at the Cary Grove Carmel location. I love and appreciate everybody's comments and opinions, but I believe, once again, it's not just about us. And traffic, I have a sister that lives in Houston. I'm telling you, Brick School Road, I've lived it. Yep, we can be patient. We can go different times, but I don't think it's going to be a whole lot different, as other people have said, and it will be beautiful. And you might just fall in love and visit somebody there and be blessed yourself.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Joe Barrett, and I live at 3270 Hazel Foster Drive in Carmel, Indiana, and I'm a neighbor to the Story Cottage on Cary Road. And I wanted to talk about that a little bit because I, like you, have been in my location for over 20 years. I, like you, love my neighborhood. I'm a protective husband, protective father, and we love our community. It's quiet, peaceful, family-oriented. And I know that over the years, and my kids have accused me of this, I've slowly become that guy that says, get off of my yard. So I share the concerns that many have talked about. And also, like many neighborhoods, we talk about each other. We talk about what's going on. We talk about who's taking care of their house, who's taking care of their yard. We learn, we love, and we welcome each other over the years. When the Story Cottage started to be built at the end of my street, 0.5 miles away, 5-minute walk, 10-minute walk, 5-minute jog, 1-minute drive, I started asking the question, like anybody would, what is that? Why is it here? How is it going to impact me? And what's in it for me? Because we didn't want a lot more action or noise or clutter in our neighborhood, just like I've heard here tonight, and just like many neighborhoods. So our experience early on is we saw a really beautiful home being built. We didn't know what it was about, but we thought that's a really cool design. Again, me being a yard guy, started looking at the landscaping, says I can learn a thing or two here. I mean, it was really cool the way the landscaping went. I also started looking at the holiday decor that they had. Again, our neighborhood, we'd love to do it up right. And my wife and our children, we go by there every day. Carmel schools get let out. I see them going around. We jog, we run, we bike. We're a very active family. So I know that's a concern. And I also think about not only traffic, but emergencies in a home like this. But I would tell you that it is non-impact in our neighborhood. I see it more from our neighborhood that I live in Foster Estates and Smoky Ridge, for graduation parties, for birthday parties, for holiday parties, things of that nature. What we also had happen to us over the years is, like has been said here, and many of us in our families today, or will be soon enough, we were stricken by Alzheimer's, dementia, my mother-in-law. Thankfully, she lived right across the street in the same addition as us, and thankfully, she was able to be accepted by the Story Cottage. And my father-in-law, who died in October, was a pediatric oncologist at Riley, the most humble man, the best servant leader, the best role model I've ever seen, was able to visit her every day. So yes, it's beautiful on the outside, but what makes it most beautiful, like we all know, is the inside. Thank you.
Sir, what was your name?
Joe Barrett.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I wasn't planning on speaking tonight either because our president of the HOA is speaking, but I just want to respond to some of the things that were said. My name is Dana Bain. I live at 230 Breakwater Drive. And when my son was in 7th grade, he and his best friend were crossing Brook School. His best friend was hit by a car on Brook School, and he was in the hospital for a month. He still suffers seizures from that accident to this day. My husband is the one, Matt Newell, who worked extensively with the city council, came to all of these meetings, cried hysterically, and at that point, they finally paid attention and redid Brook School Road, making a passing blister for our residents. And traffic accidents have decreased slightly. Where the new location is, even though they are moving north their driveway a little bit, it's still at the crest of a hill. It is so unsafe. All of the things that were said before about traffic, completely in agreement with, and the situation has not gotten much better. I just can't imagine the lawsuits that will happen to both Story Cottage and the city of Fishers when all of these accidents start occurring. It's going to, it will happen. Additionally, I have friends who have parents with Alzheimer's, and they don't have an easy road. They have told me that they have had incidents where they have had a psychotic break, where they had to be taken to another facility. I don't think that the amount of people that will be coming in and out to help these people, the emergency vehicles, I cannot imagine a fire truck being able to turn around in this parking lot, which is a parking lot, and on the rendering they showed us, they indicated 14 parking spots. That is a lot of parking spots for what they are calling not very many people coming in and out of this facility. So I just hope that you are considering what you're hearing now. Again, all of the unfavorable comments from the residents of this area. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Steve Cage. I live at 371 Breakwater Drive. Wasn't planning to speak tonight either, but I do want to talk about the traffic. That is a really terrible area. The city was kind enough to reshape the property so you can see, but to get out, go south from Breakwater, it is full on, taking a chance all the time, same way the other way. If you're going by this property, if I'm on Brook School Road going south to get to my house and turn in the gate left, I turn on my turn signal just over the crest by Sandstone so people are aware that I'm going to be turning left into Breakwater. Now, that's several hundred yards because it's so unsafe. And I'm just hoping that somebody doesn't run into me on the rear end every time. But we've got a little side movement there that the city put in, which we're grateful for. But it is really dangerous. I'm serious, it's really dangerous. I drive all the time. I drive race cars. I do everything this way. Entrepreneur. And it's just a really dangerous area. So going the other way, you're going over a hill and dropping down. It's down in a valley where you're trying to do this commercial building. Now, I own 5 commercial buildings in the area, okay? The city, I'm glad I'm here, but it's not a place for this building. I like the idea of what's going on with the memory care. I'm gonna be 74 this year. Play pickleball, won the world championships. I'm an athlete, but I'm gonna, the brain may go bad too. And I got friends that are in that same predicament. This is not a really good spot for a building like that to be turning in slow, putting the brakes on, turning right, turning left, jamming it up in there. Sandstone's already got a big enough problem where you can't see. It's just a really tough area, guys, I'm telling you. Thank you very much. I do like the idea of what they have, but not in that spot. And, with the commercial buildings I own, you should be somewhat in a commercial place for that kind of building. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Michael Nealon. I live at 11240 Desert Glen in Sandstone Knoll. I've been in the area for almost 30 years. I own my own business, and I'm not gonna beat it up over the traffic, but that is a huge concern. Really need to think an overall of the plot. There's 2 acres. It's gonna need a lot of upkeep. They're gonna do all these fancy things. It's gonna be a beautiful place, huge trucks, coming in and out for supplies, oxygen, food, everything else, then the employees, then you have snow removal. Where are they gonna put the snow? How are they gonna get in and out to even do that? And then you got the large trucks that are gonna be coming in with 5 to 6 big moors in and out. Where are they gonna park, on the road? There's 10, I think, 12 parking spots? How many? 16. And let's say half of them are employees, and then maybe a couple visitors. Where are they gonna go? Where are they gonna be? And where's the snow gonna go? And that's gonna cause a big bottleneck and issues. But my mom, I've been taking care of her with my younger sister. She has Lewy body, which is a very aggressive type of dementia. And we would trade off every 2 weeks. She's at Sunrise at Old Meridian. It's a wonderful place. She's private pay. I was surprised how reasonable it was at this facility, and I met the owner. I guess this is the last. This is the third one of the last one of 3 that I went to the meetings, and the owner was nice enough to have a meet and greet and sit and answer questions. And I like the product. I think it's phenomenal because I've been affected by it, and I just went and saw my mom just last night. I try to go a couple times a week. I can't get there very often because I own my own business, but I'd like to see her more. And it's a wonderful idea, just not here. It doesn't make sense. There's so many negatives to it. It's a great product. The guy's handling himself well. I would like to close with a couple things. At the last meeting at the Hawthorns, the gentleman said toward the end, I understand I would be upset as well. That's what the owner of this facility said about a product like this going in that location. It sort of blew me away. That sort of said everything right there. It's like the man that was trying to convince us and sell us told me, and most of the people here, that he would be upset as well. What does that say? Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Paul Kirkpatrick. I live at 340 Breakwater Drive in the Breakwater subdivision in Fishers. I've lived in Fishers for 28 years. As you've heard, it's not just Breakwater, it's also Sandstone. Sandstone did a poll and it was overwhelming. We've talked with the boards of Hamilton proper. All 3 neighborhoods are overwhelmingly against this. That is thousands of your residents, tax-paying residents. Everyone's against this. It's a very nice product. None of us think it should be here. But we said this last time in late November, December. We obviously have a little more people here now, more opinions, but you guys rubber stamped this then. It went to City Council. We then gave a letter, a litigation hold notice to the mayor's office, City Council, and the Fishers attorney, hand-delivered to that office on December 10th. That notice was never responded to in any way. Instead, we also sent a 30-page formal remonstrance written by attorney outlining every single thing that was wrong with the original proposal. Somehow the developer got a copy of that and basically showed you all the things he had to fix. One of which being the zoning code, so you change it from low C to PUD, which is basically spot zone. So we've kind of learned our lesson, and we found other things that this violates several city ordinances and zoning codes. We are not going to share those today. We hope that you will vote no against this. We hope you will do a formal, real traffic study. The traffic study that they called him and said there's going to be 5 additional cars. The engineer looked at a chart and said 5 additional cars. There's nothing wrong. Rubber stamped it. So like I said, we've learned our lesson. We're not going to tell you what's wrong. We've hired another attorney. We filed another formal litigation hold today. And, you know, if this passes, we're just going to see you in court. And we don't want to do that. There's a lot of good reasons that were said today. We feel this is against the will of your citizens. I've heard accusations of crony capitalism and how you get things through here in Fishers, I don't want to believe it, but when you watch all this and it's against the will of all the people, you start to believe it, and it's really disappointing. So we really hope you vote no time. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I will close the public hearing, and we will give the petitioner an opportunity to respond a few minutes to that if you desire.
Thanks, sir. Can I check the time on that? Is that 3 minutes or 5
Yes.
by your rules of procedure?
Yeah, actually 5 minutes.
That's fine. Okay, thank you. First off, a few points that I think are really important to clarify. One, there was a gentleman who spoke tonight from Carmel, as you might have heard his address. I had the opportunity to talk with him this past week, and I said, you'd have a pretty good voice, because some people have said some negative things about the operation of Story Cottage, how it's maintained, and you were there when it was built. You'd be a great character witness, if you will. So I invited him. So I wanted you all to know that I thought that he would provide an important voice. So for reference, of course, yes, he is not a Fishers resident, but I thought he had a good voice about the history of when it was built and how his neighbors treat it today. And I thought that was worth listening to. Second, Mrs. Kaido mentioned people getting out. And I want to clarify, because I don't believe she has the entire story, so I wanted to inform you all of that since it was mentioned. David Morgan mentioned that in the meeting because he was asked, and he responded honestly that had happened 4 years ago. We didn't go into all the details of that at the neighborhood meeting, but I'm going to tell you what it was. It was in the early stages of opening the first couple of cottages. They were half full, so it was still leasing up, still moving people in. Some family members were there, and a door was left open. And 2 people, on 2 different occasions at that house, made it a step off the front porch, but eyes were on them all the time. No one got out and walked around in neighborhoods. I don't want that to be mischaracterized for what it was. That was before all of the upgraded technology, all of the security happened 4 years ago. Nothing has happened ever since, and it can't happen because only caregivers can open up the doors. Third, a gentleman mentioned that David Morgan said in the neighborhood meeting that he would be upset if this happened. That is a mischaracterization of that conversation. I think he was asked something to the effect of, well, how would you feel? And he said he would be concerned, like anybody would be concerned if they don't know what something is and trying to investigate and learn more about it. So did not say that he would be upset. So it was a mischaracterization of that conversation. Now I want to respond to some of the speaker's characterizations of it as a commercial use. And Ross, am I able to get slides up? I'll wait. Well, I won't wait. First off, it's not a commercial use. It's not a facility, and it's not an institution. And no decision made here tonight should be made as if it were. Those characterizations are incorrect, and I would hope that the information we presented about residential uses made that clear earlier. It's a fact that group homes are classified as residential uses by modern zoning codes, and they're backed by court decisions and the Fair Housing Act, and they function all as homes. Our reference earlier to the existing permitted uses in the chart, it just indicates that that use is being almost identical to the other ones in the Fishers ordinance, and it fits within that definition as a residential use. Some people may have different ideas of what a home is, and that's okay, but that doesn't change the fact that Story Cottage is a residence. The only reason we're seeking a rezone is because the UDO doesn't specifically mention it, that adults are allowed as a group home. Regarding the traffic, were we able to get that up, Ross?
No.
I have 5 minutes.
He has 5 minutes. You still have approximately 1 minute and 10 seconds left.
That's okay. I think it's important. There's a couple. So we can talk a lot about traffic. if we want. A lot of people have said a lot about traffic. The reality is, it's the city's traffic engineer that said this. The proposed use will not have an adverse impact on the surrounding roadway. It's busy for sure, and we are concerned about that. That's why we've already made one change to the entrance and provided a little bit more space to get out onto Brooks School Road. And in the detailed design that we will do with our engineer and the city engineer, if we have to make more changes to that, we will. I'm going to move on because of time. There's a couple things I want to point out. How much time do I have, sir?
You have about 30 seconds to wrap up.
Great.
Okay.
Two things I want to point out, two studies that Fishers has already done. 2023, Fishers Accessible Housing Guide. The greatest need in Fishers is sufficient memory care beds. Smaller residential models align with the best practices. This is your report. This is City of Fishers 3 years ago. 1 year before that, housing assessment was done. Fishers Housing Needs and Strategy. Number one strategy, encourage more housing for seniors. Why would they say that? Because the population over 80, age 80, is going to grow to 5% of the city by 2040. And look at the number of how many group homes will be here in 2040. 2,300. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We appreciate all of the comments that were made during the public hearing and the comments that were circulated prior to today's hearing. And as I prefaced my comments earlier, that we have read all of those, we've listened, we appreciate, we understand what the issues are, and we thank everyone for coming out to this meeting today. This is an advisory plan commission, which means we make a recommendation to the city council. So this is not a binding decision today. We have three options that we can pass forward to the city council. The first would be a favorable recommendation to the petition. Second would be an unfavorable recommendation. And three would be a no recommendation. So those are our three options. We have an 11-member board here for the Plan Commission. We do have a quorum today with 6 members, as I do math publicly. It will require a unanimous decision tonight. So all 6 members will have to agree, as I defer to our counsel. Rodney, is that correct? To advance one of those options. If we can't decide, then there will still not be a recommendation. It would be a no recommendation. So this matter initially, as we've heard earlier today, came initially to the Plan Commission in December as a petition for a rezone for a commercial property. And now we're here for a petition for a PUD that will allow this memory care center, but still maintain a residential use as a primary zoning base. So we understand the issues, and I believe as a member of this board, speaking just for myself, it's our responsibility to make a decision to make our recommendation known to the city council. So I plan on today letting my voice be heard in terms of what my thoughts are on the evidence that has been presented to us. And we do have to make our decision based on the factors that have been enunciated by Ross Hillary, our Director of Planning and Zoning, that we take into consideration the comprehensive plan. We consider the current conditions and the character and structure and uses of each zoning district. What is the most desirable use for which the land in each zoning district is adapted, the conservation of property values throughout the jurisdiction, and also responsible and development growth. So we will consider that in our determination today. And with that, I will open it up for any comments that my fellow board members may have.
I have a question for the petitioner. When you went through Mr. Lawrence? When you went through the definitions of like group homes and developmentally disabled and mentally ill, and you'd said that if your clients fit into those categories, we wouldn't be having this conversation, if I remember that correctly?
Correct.
What is the status of the residents in your facilities? What are they considered?
In terms of,
Because, for group homes, it says that if for the way that we have group homes, it's for children.
right,
And then Are your residents considered developmentally disabled or mentally ill? What category are they considered?
They are not by the definition of those two. Both of those definitions reference the Indiana State Code. Those residents don't fit within that code definition of mentally disabled or mentally ill. I forget the exact terminology of that. So that's why we can't go under either of those definitions. Group home is defined for children, and I realize there's a number of, in that definition, 8 versus the 12 that we're seeking. So I'm not trying to misspeak that that was the only difference, was children to number of residents that would be in that home. So what we were trying to show by pointing out the definitional, or the definitions represented in the UDO, is that we are like those other things. And therefore, in our mind, being like those other things, except for not meeting a specific definition by Indiana code on what mentally ill or mentally disabled means, that we're equal to this type of residential use, or use which is allowed in a residence.
Thank you. And then I have another question about the group home status. We talk about the residential nature of it. How are medications handled within the facility?
Yeah, so our residents work with a concierge nurse who comes and does the meds. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So, but meds are passed?
Yes,
They're part of the, not the care plan, but I guess the lease or the resident package?
No, so the meds are, the concierge nurse does the medication, because it's a separate agreement between each resident and the concierge nurse, and she has a staff of nurses that handle the medication.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Kim?
Yeah, I'll make a quick comment. My daughter lives just around the corner also in Carmel she lives just one street north of that, just off Cary Road. And I asked her one day what that was, and she thought she knew what it was, but was not sure. It is a beautiful home. I will not dispute that in one bit. However, Cary Road hasn't got half the traffic probably that Brooks School Road does, and it's flat. So I see a huge difference in comparing those two things. That is a very big difference. And I understand, the concerns with traffic. My parents are 90. They are, luckily for me, they still live on their own, but they're 5 minutes from me, and I'm already seeking places. But I want them to be closer to me, and I live up here in the north end of Fishers. So that would not be somewhere, I wouldn't go into that congested of an area anyway. So I can understand the residents that do not want to have this, and I feel it, I do. Because that wouldn't be the most ideal. It would be great if a resident would just buy it. That's why it's zoned. We've also made a lot of variances on this committee and city council. This does not fit into the comprehensive plan. If you look at residential, I know you're keeping it residential technically by the R. I don't see continuing to make variances and offering options. I just think that I don't want to be part of the cronyism. I want to, we made a 2040 plan. We're in 2026, about 14 more years. I know we evaluate it all the time. But right now, it's still residential. I like to keep it, of a homeowner to buy it. I think there's litigation going on to make a decision to move forward with this. It doesn't seem like the right place and time.
Any other comments?
Well, I might as well make a couple comments about at least my perception. So I think the residents have found out that, number one, I do answer my phone when you guys call. If you actually leave a message and leave me your name and your phone number, I do call you back. And I did read every single thing that was sent to me, as I always do. I will let you know again, this is an advisory body. The decision makers are back on council where I sit. Okay, so that's going to have to be taken there for final action. And it will be taken there regardless of what we do. Correct, Rodney? It's going to city council regardless of what we do here today. Any decision we make, it's still heading back there for city council to do the decision on it. Okay? I will again tell you that the conversation that I had with Ms. Cato, which is a nice conversation, I appreciate your call, you know, maybe I was a little bit misled or not maybe misunderstood. My comment is, no matter what we do here in the city, we add traffic. And I understand the problem on Brook School Road. I'm a Hawthorne's member, I go down there a lot, I go down around the back way, depending upon where I have to go to and whether or not I'm stopping to pick up food at, you know, at Wolfie's or wherever I'm going to come home, because I live over there in that area. I'm well aware of the issues that I have on Brook School Road. Brook School Road does have a lot of issues with hilly terrain. I've got, you know, legal drainage going up and down the side of it, so it's not expandable. I get the issues that go on there. We've talked about it forever and a day. But I can't, we, the city, can't do anything in the city without adding traffic. That I'm going to tell you. Any development that we do, we add traffic. Comes back every single time. Traffic, traffic, traffic. Steve Farabach and A&F Engineering has been our traffic engineers for probably 35 years. Steve lives down the road, travels up and down Brook School Road every single day. So when we get a report in from Steve, who does traffic studies all over the city, we have to take that for what it is, regardless what kind of traffic study you're doing. I'm just going to let you know that flat out. I also want to point out that I hope the residents who were not favorable in this particular thing will call up Speaker Houston immediately and start to call him about a bill that's going through the legislature now. And with everything that I've learned talking to the people down at the State House, it will pass. And that's going to allow, it's going to take away zoning rights from the city council and this board and allow much more dense housing. What do I mean by that? What I mean is they can put 4 duplexes on this same property, and we can't stop them. We're not going to be able to do anything if that legislation passes. You're going to be able to put auxiliary units in your backyard. Can't stop them. This is a legislation that's currently going on down at the State House to remove local control of zoning. Additionally, I think if everybody goes back and looks at my record on my decisions on this and city council, the one thing I do, and I'm vehement about, is protecting property values. I live in Geist. I get it. I have a nice home, just like you guys have a nice home. I don't want anything taken away. I think you could talk to all the developers you want out there to find out what a giant pain in the ass I am when they come to do development, because I grind on them as hard as I possibly can. And if anybody believes there's cronyism going on, you're welcome to go ahead and audit my checkbook, okay? There's no cronyism going on because I'm not getting rich off of anything. I'm certainly not getting rich off of being on council, okay? So those comments I take very directly, and I think we just ought to leave those off the side of the table, because I'm going to tell you right now, if anything that we do up here is incredibly transparent and there's no chicanery going on with any developers, period, okay? All we're trying to do is work for the citizens of Fishers. I took this job, I ran for this job to show my kids that you have to go ahead and put yourself on the line and put your voice out there to shape the city that you want it to be. I appreciate all your comments. I do. I mean, I think it's a very good product. I think it's going to be a very low-impact product, okay? I don't know which way this group is going to vote. I don't know how council's going to vote. But if I were to look at what could potentially happen in this area, like it's happened along 116th Street, right, up and down with those dentist offices and everything else going on there, I had another group come to me last week wanting to put in another daycare, right on 116th, right near Oleo Road, and I did my best to chase them away because they wanted full access going in at peak traffic hours. I get it. I live here too. I travel through this area constantly, 2 and 3 times a day, okay? But again, I offer this, everybody keep their calm down. We can't worry about lawsuits, Mr. Kilpatrick. We can't do that. When we passed the rental registry, we were being under threat of being sued. Again, I can't control what lawsuits are going to come or not going to come. The city will deal with that as it comes. And everybody has the right to do so. And I appreciate that. That's part of the process we have here in the United States. So again, I appreciate all your comments. Again, I have no idea which way this board's going to vote. I have no idea which way council's going to vote. I haven't lobbied for votes. I haven't done anything like that. I have no idea. Everybody can go ahead and make up their own mind. I'm just telling you, everybody just got to take a deep breath here. And I think my major thing which I want to get across to you guys is, regardless of what happens here or what happens at council, I pray that you guys call Speaker Houston and stop that legislation going on down at the state, because that will have way more effect on everything that we're doing and will decimate, in my opinion, property values around the city, because we will not be able to stop it. It won't come through this board, it won't go through council, and they'll start putting up duplexes all over the city, and we can't stop them.
Selena?
I'd like to make a recommendation here. I'd like to make a motion to send no recommendation back to the council. I think that this has become very emotional. I think as Councilor Peterson stated, we need to take a breath. And I would just like to make a motion to, let's take a breath, and this body to send a no recommendation back to the council.
Selena, thanks for that motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. I'm going to also allow additional comments prior to our vote, if anyone has any comments regarding that. Seeing none, I'll supplement my comments from earlier. And I echo what Pete said. We all take our role here seriously. And this is a volunteer board. I have lived in Fishers for 25 plus years, and I want the best for our community just like everyone else does. My wife and I raised our 3 kids, and we've been in our current subdivision for 18 years or so that is close to this area. But I teach this class at the law school on land use and zoning. And we're going to have a topic on our syllabus in about 3 weeks talking about PUDs. And we may show this proceeding here. But I think as a member of the Plan Commission, it's our role to make a recommendation to the City Council as has been enunciated. As I shared, we can have a no recommendation, we can have a favorable or unfavorable. But I want to go on the record today to not have a neutral recommendation, but to have a yes or no. And I would be voting to approve this PUD for several reasons. One, it came to the Plan Commission in December for a petition for a rezone for a commercial use. And at that meeting, it was a 6-to-1 vote in favor to make a favorable recommendation to the City Council. That petition was withdrawn, so the City Council did not make a vote at that time. And now we're here back today for a petition for a PUD that would allow this memory care center, but also maintain the residential zoning base. So I don't see the difference between December and February that would change my vote. I appreciate all the issues that have been brought up, and I addressed those and evaluated those in December, and I'm addressing those today. But I think my role as a Plan Commission member is to make a favorable or an unfavorable recommendation instead of just moving this without a no vote. So I will be voting no on the motion because I believe this board should make its voice known in terms of it being favorable or unfavorable. And with that, Kay, I would entertain a motion for us.
Well, they have a motion.
I'm
They
sorry,
have a
I would-
second.
I
My
would-
question, Rodney, before we do that, okay? Knowing that you need 6 votes to get a no recommendation at this point. Correct? We don't have that with Howard. Howard says he wants to make a decision, so.
You still, for the minutes, you still want to go through the process.
Yeah,
Okay, that's fine. I just want to make sure I understand, and so the public understands what's potentially going to happen.
So we may have the same result, Pete.
Right.
But we still exercise the formal roll call to have a vote to consider the motion that's on the table.
Correct.
And the motion is to send no recommendation to council.
Correct.
No, well, the motion was to send a unfavorable recommendation.
No, the motion was, and I'll let Selena speak for herself, but I believe the motion was to make a no recommendation.
No recommendation.
So a neutral recommendation to the
Just
City Council.
take a breath.
Got it.
Okay. Mr. Fain? Ms. Logan?
No.
Mr. Peterson,
Yes.
Ms. Stoller,
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson,
No.
and
So-
Ms. Ditlevson.
Yes.
It's 4 yes, 2 no, but the motion does not carry because we need a unanimous decision of 6 votes. So it will still essentially go to the city council.
If someone wants to make a motion for a favorable recommendation or an unfavorable recommendation, you still have that option, that if you as a board decide that that's not feasible, then the result will be a no
Yeah,
recommendation.
I think it would be pointless. We know what the vote is. However, for the record, I'll go on to make a motion to send a favorable recommendation to the city council. And based on that motion, do we have a second? We do not have a second. So Rodney, the result is we do not have a motion. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. We're saying the same thing. There's no recommendation. We're not recommending approval, or we're not recommending disapproval. Yeah. We'll move on. Thanks, Rodney, for your legal advice as it relates to that. Do we have any staff communications? We have no staff communications. Any summary of council action? Okay. That being the last agenda item.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.